Everyone, please stand for the Saba. Thank you for your season. I have one announcement. Island Council member Mr. Julio Effie is absent with notice. Agenda point number 2, approval of the agenda. Look around to the council. Can we approve the agenda as given? Yes. The agenda is approved. Point 3 on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the Public Island Council meeting of September the 19th, 2024. The registrar provided us with the minutes. Can we approve the minutes of that meeting? Yes. The minutes of the Island Council meeting of September the 19th, 2024 are approved. We move on now to agenda point number 4. Oral question time in accordance with Article 36 of the Rules of Procedure. I begin with Island Council Lady Ms. Elsa Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to everyone present here today, and of course also watching the live stream. I just have 2 questions today. And my first one is relating to a language policy for Saba. And I would just like to say that as Saba population grows and becomes more diverse, I think it's crucial that we adopt a language policy that not only fosters communication and inclusivity, but also preserves our island's heritage. And such a policy will help to maintain the cultural identity that defines Saba, while ensuring that all residents, both long-standing and new, are able to fully participate in and contribute in our community. So my questions are, is the Executive Council currently in the process of developing a language policy for Saba? Can you provide an update on whether any concrete steps have been taken so far? Additionally, if such a policy is already in progress, could you elaborate on any specific stages of development, what areas it aims to address, and when can we expect its formal implementation? And my second question is in relation to the execution plan of the governance program. I know my colleague, Island Council member Mr. Charles, asked this question in the last meeting, but since then I would like to know if there's any update on the status of this plan, and specifically when can we expect the executive plan to be presented. And that concludes my questions.
Thank you, Island Council Lady Ms. Elsa Peterson. I begin with the language policy. Commissioner Everton Hager will answer that question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your questions. by Councilmember Peterson in regard to the island's language policy. I would like to address all questions at once, if that's okay. I agree with you that it is crucial that we adopt a language policy that will help to maintain the cultural identity of Saba and also fosters our diverse community. This is why the Department of Community Development and Culture is currently working on developing a language policy. The aim is to have it available the first quarter of 2025. The steps being taken to ensure that we have a language policy is the creation of the Education Agenda 2024 for the coming 2 years, in which the commitment was made to establish a language policy. The next stage of development would be to start consultations with the relevant stakeholders involved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hediger. Regarding the execution plan, that is Commissioner Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to all. We want to ensure that it's a very thorough process, and as such, we're still busy dissecting the content of the governing program and then comparing it to already ongoing initiatives, whether that is, policy that's already in place, initiative that's already being done by certain departments, and then comparing that also with the ambitions within the Saba package. We do hope that we can have something that we can meet with a council in a few weeks, just to see if the council believes that we're going in the right direction. Because yes, the council's document, we want to ensure that it's being done together. And once we have that meeting, then we can go towards having a more formal process where it's then formally presented to the Island Council for discussion. But we do hope that in the coming weeks that first step happens, when we have a thorough analysis of what's in the governing program, what's in the Saba package, and what's already being executed by the various departments.
Thank you, Commissioner Mr. Bruce Higgins. That concludes the first round on the questions asked by Island Council Lady Ms. Elsie Peterson. For the second round.
Thank you both for the answers. Commissioner Ziggers, I'll start with you. Thanks for the update, and it's good to see that's moving along, and I look forward to when it's presented to us in the coming weeks. Also, thank you, Commissioner Hediger, for your responses, and it's good to see that this is something that's already on the agenda, because it is something important. The only question I have is that you mentioned that it would be included in the education agenda, and I just would like you to clarify if this language policy then would just be specific for the education policy, or is it going to be something that's island-wide? Thank you.
Based on the second round, other council members also have the opportunity to answer on the answers provided by the commissioners of the questions presented. Okay. That concludes the questions posed by Island Council Lady Ms. Elsie Peterson. We now move on to Island Council Member Mr. Peter Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. My questions in relation for the Executive Council are follows. Recently, I think we've seen a few things on social media in that regard. There was a destruction of the house there, across the monument leading to Fort Bay, the World War II monument, and then there was a relocation of a stone oven, and that didn't go according to plan. And then that of course caused some concerns in the community, and I think of course what the community is saying is that we are concerned about monument preservation efforts. There was a monument ordinance in 2010, and basically it calls for the establishment of a monument council and a monument registry, and until now there is none in place. My questions are, given the current concerns, does the Executive Council plan to establish the monument council and the monument registry in the foreseeable future? And if so, when? The monument ordinance also requires that Island Council is informed about the status of monuments at least once a year. Will it be possible for the Executive Council to say if they will begin reporting on this requirement? The next topic is about traffic concerns. I was approached by some concerned citizens recently at different times, and they expressed, some concerns about the speeding on the island. Then they mentioned particularly about speeding on the side, and they noticed since the speed bumps in that area have been taken away, and I mean in that area specifically, I think it's called the E.A. Johnson Road, maybe probably the Lambert Castle Road, I'm not sure which one it is, but that road, the main road to go inside. And would it be possible for the Executive Council to explain what happened to the speed bumps in that area, and if they will be replaced, and if not, because it's possible that there's the reason that they were removed and they aren't going to be replaced, what other measures will be taken to address speeding in built-up areas? Another question, has the Executive Council looked at widening the road in the area of Lambie's Place? And if so, are there plans to address it? And I ask that because more recently, because I guess cars are getting bigger and there's also just more traffic, every time you reach that point in the road, you have to reverse, you have to wait, so it just inhibits the flow of traffic, particularly in busier times. So, just wondering if the Executive Council has taken note of this and they are going to do something about it. Another question is, there are several high traffic areas on the island where pedestrians and drivers of vehicles interact, and to improve the safety of pedestrians, there should be clearly marked pedestrian crossings. That's, for instance, in the area basically on the side, also here along the main street in the bottom, so many people are crossing the road, and then cars don't necessarily stop if they don't realize that they should stop to facilitate people moving across the road. So are there plans in place, or are there plans to place these markers on the road, and particularly in built-up areas?
Thank you, and Councilmember Savita Charles. I begin with answering the questions. Your first question